Hi everyone, a very warm welcome and thank you for joining us today for today's dialogue, which is part of the Culture and the Smart City project. I'm Shufan, the advisor, curator and arts manager behind this project. I'm also currently an assistant professor at the Singapore Management University, where I teach and also am lead coordinator of the Arts and Culture Management program. One other relevant hat that I wear is being Senior Research Advisor to the Global Cultural Districts Network, or GCDN for short, which is an international membership association that brings together cultural districts, institutions, and leaders interested in the intersection of culture and urban life. And I am delighted to welcome you to today's conversation. But before we start the conversation proper, I would like to share some contextual background of the project, which might be of possible interest to those of you who are joining us here for the first time. So for those of you who have already heard this before, please do bear with me for just a few minutes. So the Culture and the Smart City project is a multilateral collaboration initiated by the European Union National Institutes for Culture, or UNIC for short, members who are currently in Singapore. The project is supported under the guidance of the Goethe-Institut Singapore. The seedlings of this project were first planted in a pre-pandemic time, more than 2 years ago. Together with my initial collaborators, Hansong and Aurel, we shared a strong belief in the important role of the arts to our everyday lives, and in particular, how the arts should be at the forefront in discussions about future urban transformation. And while the smart city is not a new concept or discourse, we found that it was a useful framework for us, as it starkly highlighted how the arts, culture, and creativity have often been left out of the conversation when we conceptualize cities of the future. Hence, we adopted the Smart City framework as a means for us to think about what's missing when we consider the cities of the future, and as a means to highlight the significance of the arts, urban cultural transformation, as well as the human-centric perspectives that draw attention to the context-specific ways in which we experience, navigate, connect with, negotiate, and play within an increasingly digitalized urban environment, which then brought about this Culture and the Smart City project. Overall, this project aims to create a multidisciplinary and translocal space for deep contemplation and imagination on cultural urban transformation from a smart city perspective. And we hope to do this by bringing together artists, researchers, activists, and experts from varying fields across the globe. And although, like almost everything else, while COVID-19 did disrupt many of our initial plans and dreams, I'm still proud to say that we have launched and completed phase 1, which was a virtual fellowship network. For more details, I encourage you to visit our website and read the many thought-provoking Phase 2 was kickstarted in August 2021. For me, it was important for this phase to come into this project to broaden the conversation by enabling and inspiring others to join in this conversation of what urban cultural transformation means, especially from the perspective of the smart city. Because we feel that it's in the unarticulated and unforeseen gaps that new possibilities and new potentials begin. And I hope that many of you here will join us in phase 2 and share your own insights about the arts and culture within this smart city discourse. Phase 2 basically consists of 4 public programming strands that you can participate within. One programming strand is this Culture and the Smart City Provocations series, which will consist of live virtual conversations and events exploring what could and what should be the role of urban cultural transformation in the future smart city. And we hope that this series will offer fresh perspectives on how culture and cities are evolving before our eyes. We have held 3 provocations so far, and you will be able to see the topics and speakers on the slide. We strongly encourage you to visit and listen to their dialogues, which are available on our website or on our YouTube playlists. And tonight, I'm pleased to share that for this 4th provocation, we will be joined by 2 amazing individuals from very different disciplines and experiences. And they will converse with each other to further explore what urban cultural transformation really means and entails, particularly in relation to the arts and digital creative innovation, and the implications for community interaction and social engagement. This conversation will be helmed by Dr. Priyakorn, who is a professor in creative technology and social computing. She also runs the Edutainment and Social Interaction Computing, or ESIC Lab for short, in King Mongkut's University of Technology, Thonburi, KMUTT for short, Thailand. Joining her is Mr. Shawn Chua, who is a researcher and artist currently based in Singapore. He has been deeply engaged with embodied archives and canny personhoods and the participatory frameworks of play. Together, they will be exploring the possibilities of the future smart city, in particular how urban art projects can create spaces for people to meet and also invite citizens to take responsibility for change and to contribute to creative solutions for the future. Importantly, I also hope that each of you here, whether you're here with us on Zoom or Facebook Live, will join in the conversation as well. Please share with us your thoughts, comments, and questions by using the chat function. And with that, I hand the virtual floor over to Shawn and wish each of you new insights and inspiration from this dialogue. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Shufen, for that very generous contextualization. And also thank you all for joining us this evening. I'm very excited for today's session. You know, as Shufen said, our kind of provocation for today is about community engagement with arts and convivial tech. And I think Dr. Priyakorn has a lot of experience to share about that. I think what's an interesting kind of angle to think about today's conversation is that oftentimes when we talk about smart cities, the discourse is operates on very particular kind of rhetorics, thinking about optimization or data and how it kind of gathers data from its population in various ways. And what's interesting then is to think about how does the kind of intervention of art in these urban spaces potentially re-articulate different kinds of logics within the space. All right, and I think without further ado, I want to pass the time over to Dr. Priyakorn, and then we can have a chat about this later.
Okay, I would say that good evening, everyone. Greeting from Bangkok, and I am very pleased to be guest tonight, and I hope that my talk will inspire you for how smart city can engage convivialities, joyful happiness for the people who living in not only in urban but in suburb or in any country's side. I would like to share the screen in order to introduce myself, and give me a second. Yep. Share. Yep. I think you see my screen now, and yep. According to the talk today, the topic is about in searching for conviviality in the smart cities. I really love the conviviality terms. It's about how to make you joyful, happiness, playful, and you can play and learn together. As teachers, actually, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Priyakorn Pusawiro, and I am a lecturer at Department of Computer Engineering, King Mongkut University of Technology, Thonburi. And I'm taking care of my lab, so-called ESIC lab. It's about the entertainment technologies, with this established, let's say 12 years ago, 2010, since I come back from Germany. I was studied there, and the place in European country is very inspired me a lot about the aesthetics stuff, like art galleries, lighting festival, or even the design week, fashion week. And when I come back, I just been in engineering faculties, and everything is a machine, everything is coding, programming. It's made me think about how I can make my students have a conviviality in this big city like Bangkok. So I start creating the lab for the entertainment technology, which is computer engineers. I try to merge the media arts students, media art professors, the designers, School of Architecture and Design professors to engage in the technologies with and also the media artists. So we are like try to be the creative technologists, not only technologists alone, but we try to connect science, engineering, digital technologies, media art, and we develop as a lab called ESIC Lab. This is my background. And apart from that, as a lecturers, as a universities, educators, I am really enjoy teaching. And in order to teach something, I think it's very boring if you didn't practice on hands-on. So I start my career and as a lecturers by create a lab and teaching engineering that meet artists. So I try to bring engineering meet arts by using the technologies. My class called Interactive Computing for arts, museum, and dramatizations or theater stuff. All those applications behind the scene is technologies. So my aims and my team aim to enhance the arts with technologies in order to promote convivialities that I said, playful interactions by using the technologies, sensors, equipments, motion sensor, or any kind of controller circuits in order to promote playful interest for the audience, not only on the pathway, on the public space, physical space, but also inside like a museum exhibition or even in the virtual world. A lot of people know metaverse. And those things, I think we can engage people for the smart cities, and we can bring a lot of smart people to promote the city to be smart. So this is the aim of me and my team, is to involve people, inside the public space or non-public space, but try to encourage them to be active participations, active audience, and let them to be the co-creations, co-creators. So my focus for my talk today, I will tell you about my previous work and date back maybe 10 years and how I start. It's about lighting installations, mixed realities, augmented reality or virtual realities, and try to promote immersive experience, as well as we do a lot of projection mapping on objects on the wall, even on the building. So the starting point of my work, as I said, that from engineering class, I try to bring my students to be proud of their work to the public art installation by using engineering knowledge. So if you see that what they have been learned in the class is so boring, right? Actually, it's not boring, but it's very techy. There's soldering, wiring cable, and at the end, they have the product as a project-based learning in our class. And they all have very ground technology from a lot of professors in my department to learn the basic programming, advanced programming. And based on those background of programmers, they bring a lot of embedded systems, circuit design, digital technology to be something, some project, to submit work and get the score point and graduate to get the grade. I think it's so boring. So I changed the way teaching that bring the project-based learning, project-based learning to the public art. The first project that I bring students is called, it's the first Bangkok Design Week 2012. Is what 10 years ago. This week is also Bangkok Design Week 2022 in Bangkok. So at that time, you see from the work, from the video, this is the class project that students engage to create something for the public space. How we who living in Bangkok can engage people to interact with our product, our project. So we developed the interactive billboard. We call it zero impact interactive billboard because we borrow everything from construction company and use the solar power, and we use the bicycle to generate the power, electric power. It was a big flood in Thailand that years, but at the end we managed to have the indoor installations, and each student have learned to bring a lot of technology based on the expertise. We have the website that people can hook and typing the text and submit to the billboard. So it's the billboard is just like the billboard is just like the canvas that people can text, and the running text that you saw is from the website. So the student connect each LED bombs as a wide. It's a network. We use the internet and routers, and accept the get the text from the website, and the power generator is from the bicycle. We have the power generator during the days inside the hall, and the power supply and the battery keep on those things. All the power supply, and we use it during the night. Outside we have the solar power, solar cell, like a panel, solar cell, big power solar cell panel. So we borrow everything. Afterwards, the small LED that you saw as a running text is turned to be the lamp for the villagers in the suburb, as a leading lamp for the like a villagers or the hill tribe student who has no electric power up to the hill. So that's why we call zero impact interactive billboard. It's the first thing that we bring engineering ahead us. And then we found that why, because it's like a scaffolders, it's a very simple scaffolders, and we start to think about why don't we bring more creativities inside the class. We, as a developers, we try to have a creative artifact to connect people in the public space. We try to think about how we engage people. We think about the design thinking process, human-centric design. As a software engineers, we learn software engineering. We have a group of professors who teach software engineering, programming, and then in my class, I ask them to bring all those knowledge, but put more creativities and bring the project to the public. So it is the project, another year's project, that we have the event as the final project, that we have the lighting festival, Thailand Kingdom of Light, at the central of the Bangkok. Is the very heavy traffic Bangkok, and also the project is from the idea of student. I can rerun for you again. It's like each student in the class, they have around 10 students for project. They use the sensor controller and create the concept and storytelling of the project, that what kind of art installation, what is the meaning of their art pieces or their art artifact. This one was a lot of interactions. Each column have the sensors. If the audience come and touch the sensor, the audience mix the color of the light. We use the LEDs, changeable, programmable LED that mix the colors of the light, and the colors of the light keep changing. So the audience never be the same, and the outcome of the art installation also never be the same. The same thing is the kingdom of, inside the kingdom of light is the cheerful idea of the student. They would like to create an interactive chair that let people sit along the BTS. Is this the the train stations. It's between the train stations in the middle of Bangkok, near the Central Wall and near the four-face statues, the four-face Buddha statue that a lot of people come and pray and would like to to wish something. And we have like a chair full for them to engage, that they can mix the color, the chair can mix the colors. We use the frost sensors and the color keep changing. Also, if you walk in the daytime, it's also very beautiful. They use a lot of interactions and engagement, and students did a lot of survey by just keep monitoring how people walk around in this pathway of the BTS. And this is a big centers, shopping center of Bangkok at the Ratchaprasong district. And we get the sponsor from those business shoppings and business collaboration around there. So this is a shift from normal engineering to be like a more creative, to bring some smart, some interactive, some engagement to the public space. And then after we have the creativities, we need a designer, because we still design a lot of things like an engineer, very mechanical. We try to use science and engineering knowledge to enhance with the user experience, with the design thinking process, with user journeys. We bring a lot of survey and monitoring user journeys. This story never happened with the engineer normally, because engineer means inventor. Engineer would like to create anything for anyone, but now it's just like upside down. We keep thinking about the user journey. And then last 2 years, 2020s, we engage in the Awakening Bangkok with the interactive projection mapping on the swimming pool. And it is a lot of knowledge, not only the engineering knowledge, but we bring a lot of this, some design, visual art designers. And at that time in our lab, in my team, we spin off as an entrepreneur, who is a creative technologist entrepreneur in Thailand, who bring engineering to create the art pieces. So the Digital Picnic is the name of the spin-off the company from my lab, and they create this event as a projection mapping. We use a lot of technologies, each color that display on the screen, on the water, on the swimming pool, is come from the interactions from the visitors, because each visitor will have a card, and the card will be read by card reading machine that we have self-programming, and each visitor really waiting to see what kind of colors that reflect on the swimming pool, reflect on the water. And this is have a story. We still have a lot of creativities, designers, and also the technology behind. So it is a way that we evolve ourselves in the lab, from the simple engineer to be a more creativity person. And then we bring a lot of designs to engage people in the public space. This is a physical space, interaction in physical space, and have a very nice shot. And a lot of people really enjoy with the storytelling. They have a storytelling from the Chinese beliefs. Okay. And another things that they, apart from Bangkok Design Week, Awakening, or Time Out events in Bangkok, we also have some kind like public in the park that we install daytime night stuff, but you can see also in the nighttime. It's also engage people. We understand that sometimes people don't need to have a lot of interactions. Sometimes we can use static stuff or presetting stuff, and we learn day by day from our event, our project, that Some stuff need to be presenting, some stuff need to be interactive, because too much interactive, sometimes the audience never get that. And this one was in Nakhon Pathom. It's not far from Bangkok. It's called Nasatta Park. It's a Thai national park in Rathburi province, and it was a New Year end 2019. We do a lot of projector mapping. We do a lot of interactive LED or interactive art, lighting art installations. We have 2 years. 2019 and also in 2020 we also do the same, the similar public lighting installation but different idea. And you can see that we can use simple LED strip, and also we have some part engaged with technology, some part not. Yeah, this is the previous work from Nasatta 2019, and we do the projector mapping to tell the story. So the key point that I would like to emphasize here is like you have the technologies, but you need to have the storytelling. You have to think about the storyboard. You have to think about what kind of the engagement that you're gonna bring people to tell those stories. What kind of technologies, less or more. You need to learn day by day. So what have I been talking is a team working. Not only I myself, I work with a lot of people, designers, and also my team who are developers. They are very key developers. We also develop the applications that engage to the space with the mobile phone. We can use the navigation with the map. If you do the outdoor installation, you can use the satellite link to the GPS to navigate people along the routing of the space or the park. But if the visitor come and cannot enjoy, cannot have much time to enjoy, they can go back home and enjoy those stuff later on by using the mobile app. So we also, as I said, we are computer engineers, so we develop a lot of website and a lot of applications for the project. And this one was engaged about the smart fashions. We at that year's my theme of the class is about smart fashions. Apart from mapping, apart from lighting installation, we also do interactive and smart fashions. We work with the fashion designer and choreographer for the theaters. We perform these events, this performance in Theater Work Singapore. And we have 20 days shows that we have a lot of audience, but each time, each round of the performance never the same, because we give the control to the choreographers, to the dancer. All the columns on the costume, they have a sensors that controlled by the choreographer. This is the first time that we hand the interactions from the engineers, the control panel, to the stage, to the choreographer, to the dancers. It was called Night Performance by Pusawrio Company. Yeah, each costume developed from the student in the class. As I said, all the project is from my teaching in the interactive computing class. Yeah, so I want to say that I use the technologies to embed it in the art pieces, the object, the artifacts with the design thinking process. The same thing happened in the museum by playing around with the sorry for that. Yeah, it was exhibitions that we use the interactive partners to as a teaching tool for the kids. What should they eat? What should they should eat fruit. They don't should the teenagers should not smoke, should not drink alcohol. It's a health centers. It is the game based. that people play around the games. Actually, in the smart cities, people have the 5Gs, play around games, they play around themselves, they play along their mobile phone in the subway, in the train station, at the train station or at the bus station. People haven't engaged or connect with the others. So this kind of panel that we move from the mobile phone to the wall, interactive wall, we let the kids play together. We move the game from the mobile phone to the games on the wall inside the museum, is close to the library. So this one is like a game randomly games that as a happening, and also draw people to play around together, to talk together, to play together, not to be like a very social distancing with their own mobile phones. Yeah, and based on those things, in as a mobile applications, we also develop a lot of augmented realities that create the ad hoc informations and also augmented realities informations inside the building, outside the building, or even in the park. You can have a marker that people can scan by mobile phone and understand, get information what is the name of the tree. And this project we develop augmented reality for the postcard, because when you go to the museum, they give you a postcard back home. You get a postcard and then you can scan the postcard in order to understand what is the information that the museum would like you to get involved, or to get back message back home. Yeah, this is all those technology that not only the LED lighting stuff or immersive experience in the mapping in the park, but also inside the mobile phone. And those kind of activity, I want to say, is quite smart. Smart activities for the city to promote the smart stuff, like Internet of Things, to use the digital technologies, digital media, billboard, or whatever, to use an innovative process in order to bring the visualizations, what people say, to sensing for the people, what people see, what people can touch, what people can interact. So the digital media can augment, can enhance those kind of behaviors, and can give you the playful, joyful, and relaxed. One of our projects is we create the Firefight in the park. In Bangkok, it's a lot of light. You cannot see the Firefight. You got to go drive around 2 hours to go to Amphowa. Is to have like a canal and have a big tree that you can see the Firefight. So we imitate the firefly inside the Bangkok. In Thai, we call Hing Hoi. Hing Hoi is like they have a wing, have the colors. It means that it's very greenery. It's very environmental concern. It's very good air. Very good air. I mean, at least you have a fresh air. You have a less polluted air inside the city. That you can see the lighting of the Hing Hoi or Firefight. So this one inside the park behind the Hyatt hotel, and we install a lot of static lighting. We work with a team of designer, Bandon designer, with the eSIG Lab and the digital picnic team to bring the art, light, and sound. We have the jazz music. We have some classical music. We install the outdoor loudspeaker around the area. Yeah, that was the physical space. But we also create the virtual space. If you don't have time to walk around in the park, we develop the immersive park that you can see Hing Hoi, you can see the light, you can experience the peace of mindfulness, and also experience, walk around with your computer's virtual world, and you can see the greenery, the trees, and all Hing Hoi and the lake. Yeah. I hope I'm not talk too fast. I try to wrap up everything, but connect people to engage their daily life, maybe their boring life from working, to enjoy my art installations, my team projects that light up the colorful lighting, the colorful sounds, the interactive experience, but not nonetheless. Last and thing that we try to do, we try to engage and people to the social issue. Plastic bag is a big topic around the world from the supermarket. We bring that plastic bag to be art installation. When people touch the bag, they can feel the plastic stuff, but they have the sound, the light and sound that change the colors. It was a Eat Inside project. We bring the social issue to be art pieces, and the message that people can bring back home that let's use the plastic bag, and we bring those plastic bags to be like art objects. And the last but not least is about the social issue, the memory of the place. It can be used as technologies to collect the memory of the people in the cities. One of our proud project is we developed the immersive augmented reality for the on-site exhibitions, which was the place at Thammasat University that a lot of students was killed there. No one knows that story. The story was demolished from the classroom. We bring those story back on the real side with the augmented reality. We think that every footstep counts wherever you go. Wherever you go now, or wherever did you visit in the past, every memory counts. So one of the idea that we bring art installation, lighting installation, we bring technologies into the city, not only for smart, but we would like to make every space have the memory collective from the people. We can bring joyful, we can bring inspiration, we can bring engagement, we can bring awareness anywhere, any place by using technologies. We are smart enough to have judgment of whatever message that we visit, we get experience, or even every, as I said, every footstep counts in this Bangkok as a smart city, or anywhere in the world that have a big city, urban city, and engage a lot of people. Yep. Thank you very much. And you can hook to the website of my lab, and the digital picnic is also the entrepreneur spin-off from my laboratory. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Priyakorn. That was incredibly rich presentation. And I think it was wonderful how you were taking us through, like, each project felt like a different world on its own. I think before I ask my questions, I also wanted to say that if anyone has any questions that you would like to post in the chat, feel free to do so. I'm sure there are lots of questions that are probably brewing as we're kind of processing from this conversation. I think the first thing that really struck out to me was how much you emphasize this idea of a kind of human-centeredness, right? I think oftentimes in the conversation around smart cities or using like creative technology, I think it's very easy for a lot of those works to just end up becoming very spectacular, right? Like it's very, very seductive visually. But I think what I really appreciated was, how much, like I keep hearing you talk about the importance of the storytelling, right? Or the kind of co-creation from the participants. participants. And I think what was nice in quite a number of your works was that even though there's all these like technological elements to it, it's always acknowledging the very specific place, right? Whether it's about trying to address the kind of physical environment with the fireflies, or it's trying to respond to the kind of textuality of the water surface, or even the kind of forensic history of the space itself. So I mean, that was one part that really jumped out to me and made me realize how it feels like the way that you approach the works, it's not even like about the work itself, but in thinking about the kind of cyber physical systems, right? Like each of these work is a kind of system. And I think as a kind of participant navigating with these works, you're feeling like, oh, you know, that you're so aware of how you are situated within this kind of interactive system. And I think the one question that I have, well, one of the many questions I have is, I think you were talking about how tricky it is sometimes, right, to design for interactivity. I'm curious whether in your experience with across all these different works, what was some of the kind of things that surprised you, right, in terms of how people interacted with your works, perhaps in ways that you didn't necessarily anticipate?
Okay, thank you very much for the questions. First of all, I would say that at the first date back 10 years, we use engineering lead arts. We engineering is lead the design, and we thinking what we would like to do, and we develop it. Like okay, we would like people to interact, push it, touch it, and then trigger something. It's very straightforward without any tricky. And afterward, when we bring human-centric design, as I said in my class, it was around 3 months or most of the one semester. So at the beginning of the class, we developed things, we survey things around 1 month, and then we developed 2 months. Later on, we survey and create and design a lot of things on like a creative process, half of that, or nearly 2 months. And we develop a really engineering process, the hands-on stuff, around 1 month. So we spend 2 months to survey people. They have two parts. If we know that where we're gonna develop the art is, where we're gonna install our art piece, we know the space already. So we go to that space and observe people, empathize space, empathize people, study how people walk around, what they're gonna be interested, how they engage. So we bring up with the story, with the themes. But if we don't have the space, if we got offers, or we let students think about, okay, where would you like to show your public installation? Some maybe think about the park, some think about the bus station, wherever. They got to surveys. And then we bring up with the space, finalize the space. After finalize the space, we bring up the creative process, the storytelling. And the most important is the message that you would like the people to get it. It's gonna be straightforward or tricky. Like you play something, actually you clap, but actually it's the sound. The sensors, the sensor detect the sound and change the light. Or even you touch and change the light. Some is tricky, some is even you use the sound. We have one of the project with the Goethe Thailand with the whisper of the tree. People go to the tree and whisper, pray something. We have the sound detection sensor, and the colors of the light LED on the tree is keep changing. So it's somehow it's tricky, but the most important is you should have a choice. Only one tricking is maybe not work, because some people don't know how to play around. And the most important, in the first beginning of our project, we tell them how to do, what to do with our object. But actually, it's not the learning process. If we finalize and agree together in our team that if they don't know how to play around, let them see. If they know to play around, let them play. If they play the wrongly button, let it be. So the most people who really fast interact is the kids. if you bring the family, if the event have the family, the kids always try everything. And the kids is the one who very clever rather than their parents, because the kids not afraid everything. They just play around. So the trigger, sometimes the sensor is straightforward. Sometimes the sensor is hidden. But the most important, the key message that we would like the audience to bring back home. If they come to our art installation, it should not be the same message. They might have their own experience. They interpret this artwork by their own experience. So we let it be. The message should belong to the audience. As I said, every step counts, every mindset counts, every freedom counts. Yeah.
Thanks so much for sharing that. I think, yeah. So I think this segues very beautifully into a question that has been posed in the chat. Charlene, I wonder if you would like to just unmute yourself and share that. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, I didn't hear that.
Oh, would you like to ask your question?
What?
Charlene? Oh no, Charlene's not. Okay, that's okay. I'll read the question for Charlene.
Sorry, because I try to see the question now. Wait a second.
It's okay. I'll read it. I'll read it.
Okay.
So Charlene is asking about the I like how the projects were interdisciplinary, but I was wondering what were some of the challenges during the process of working with people from different backgrounds and disciplines. So I think this was something that we were talking about a little bit earlier, right? Because working with a choreographer, different people. Yeah.
Okay. Very good question. And actually, I did talk to Shawn before we get into the sessions. The most difficulty for us as an engineer is the vocabulary between engineering and artists. We have the same definitions. For example, when we develop the colors, like the blue, green, red, RGB color, engineering understand like a hexa numbers. Hexa number is 0011. If like we're gonna develop the black colors. Black colors for artists is have a okay, black is black, really black. But actually for the engineering, like they might okay, what I should say. Okay, I talk another way around. As in the theaters, when you start theaters, the stage should be like very dark. Let's say dark, not black. Engineering understand is black. The darkness for us is black, and it is that when the state very dark, we start the show. For engineering, they cannot make a decision when should we start. What is the really dark or gray? And then they a lot some teams some staff came to me and asked, let the director tell us what exactly the seconds, what exactly the time? Is it some vocabulary between artist and the engineer, or even the colors? When we said about the indigo colors, actually it's a blue colors for us, and we have the code number like 0011CFF0 for example. But the indigo actually for the artist is we need to test, we need to change, or amber colors like the orange and yellows. This kind of vocabulary is at the beginning of working, we have a lot of difficulties, but day by day we learn each other's. And I am very happy that I create this subject. It's called Engineering Meet Arts, that at least my students have the feeling of art appreciations, music appreciations, and they enjoy walking in the Bangkok Design Week. They not miss any festival. Instead of playing games inside the computers or even trade off the Bitcoin, but they have time to walk around the city, which is my very smart city. But if people not walk around, if people not enjoy those smart cities, we can just stay home like we locked down for those past 2 years. So I think the most the difficult and challenge for interdisciplinary project is about vocabulary definition and the style of working between engineering and artists. Yeah.
So apart from the kind of vocabularies, how about like the rhythm, like the process of working? So for example, I imagine like as a choreographer, you can just like, okay, let's try this or improvise this. But sometimes for technologists, like you need some time as well, right? To prototype like the new different things as well.
Yep, I can show you. That's a good question. I prepared some example from the creation process. In interactive costume, we, as an engineer, we know a lot of equipment, the lighting equipment. We have the costume programming. We have the EL, like the wiring of the stuff. We learn to. Yeah, you can see that we got to work with the fashion designer. Or engineering never solely never sewing, never cutting any costume, but we need to work with the fashion designer at the right corners. We need to do a fitting with the fashion designer. We talk with the choreographer, we talk with the designer, and we engage to fix a lot of things. And all the costume developed designed by the designers, fashion designers, but all the cutting, all those fashion maker is from my engineering students. So they learn the skill of handcraft, handmade, and the process is, as I said, human-centric design and co-creation process. We work a lot with the choreographer. We work with the fashion designer first, and then we know the choreographer have the just like the how to perform. And after they do the fitting, it's very heavy suit, heavy costume. They cannot move. So, and this is the learning process. We need to try to be failure as fast as possible and to improve as a better version as fast as possible too. So this is the creative process that we develop along the class. Now, as I said, normally it's around 3 months, but we work intensively. As I said, students not learn only my subject, they learn another subject. So what we should do, we should not force them to do, but force them to manage the time with her happiness, and they enjoy that, and convince them that your think, your inventions will be shown in the public. Is much more inspired than the grade A, B, C, D that you got in the class, and then you will promise along your life. Yeah,
that's such a wonderful response. I mean, I love that, you know, when you're, it's not just the designs and interventions that have that conviviality, but that's the kind of ethos that you have with the kind of students as well in that process. I think we've got a great question from Yu Xiang as well. And I think that segues from this question about, you know, with your public art projects and also with your students, you have a very kind of democratic principle, right? In terms of that involving that co-creation. And here's a question about, you know, how do you balance the teaching and learning process, right? Versus having to meet the kind of real life expectations from the event stakeholders, for example. Because like you said, like the students have all these other kind of commitments at play as well. And, you know, you want to honor that learning process, but how do you reconcile that with the tensions of the expectations of this product, right? That's meant to be made.
Yeah, first of all, they need to learn the project management. Actually, they learn from the software engineering. It's the most important, because as I said, they didn't learn from my subject only one class. And the second thing is they need to balance who has which talent. It means that if you're really keen in programming, this group of people programming. If this group of people really keen in visualization, they do visualization. Each student need not to do the same thing, but then they work as a group, and you got to be accept that equality is not really happen in the real working. So some work very hard, some work very less. You got to accept that. But at the end, when you do installation, everyone got together in the same pace. Everyone share their experience, and the teaching process. Another key teaching part is every student need to writing their diary like a blog nowadays. They need to write their own understanding, and they need to because I need to teach actually the technical stuff I need to teach, but in some parts student might think that I teach very less and let them do a lot, but at the end of the class they will know that upside down, the more you hands-on, the more you get theoretical part very well, and then you need to link not only from my class, you need to link back to the programming class, database class, software engineering class, embedded system class, that they need to bring a lot of classes knowledge to my subject. So this is the way that I always teaching and stealing knowledge from my colleagues. That's it.
Okay, I wish you were my teacher as well. I mean, it's so wonderful how much you trust these students, right? And really empower them to take agency with their learning process. And probably each of them are drawing from a whole different constellation of expertise as well and coming together. So I'm also aware of the time. I don't know how the time just like evaporated so quickly. Maybe I just want to throw like one last question to you, right? Since this is a series about provocations in the smart city, and I'm curious, based on your practice and your kind of principles and ethos, like what is a kind of preferred future of the smart city for you? How does that look like?
As I said, if we don't talk about the COVID, we have a lot of space that we can bring smart stuff to the city. Not only the smart city itself, but also the smart people that you encourage people to join co-creation in the communities, maybe small community or big community. But the most important is the placemaking. The placemaking is the participation and co-creation of the communities of that space. And the smart cities, if you smart by the governors, for me, is useless. Smart city should be democracies, give the people democracy, freedom of thinking, freedom of mindset, and bring the issue from the local people to create the issue, create the message, to tell their communities, their visitors, or even the motorbike, the rider who just passed by to just send the food, they might get any message. So the process of smart city should be start from the community itself. You connect the people, you connect the dots of the issues, any issue that may be good, maybe bad issue in the communities, but you would like to voice a part of placemaking. The community need to voice your space, to voice in terms of your community, to voice in terms of network of the people who have a minority voice. You can bring your creativities, design, and technologies through the community's network and voice to the governments, to the governors, to promote our city as a smart city, as the fairness city and conviviality smart city. I think the engagement and co-creation is the most important. Yeah.
That is a beautiful note. to round this off with. I think the point, I really appreciated the point about especially the minorities, right? How do we think about not just a convivial city, but also a just city, right? And I think that's where the wonderful work that you did with the Thammasat University is also like a wonderful intervention. I think on that note on placemaking and collaborative democracies with smart cities, I would like to pass the time back to Shufen. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Priyakorn and Shawn. I would really like to thank both of you for enriching the Culture and Smart City project with your participation. I think tonight's conversation has helped to clarify further the potentialities and also challenges of urban cultural transformation by highlighting the importance of interdisciplinary synergies and co-creation, as well as show how urban art projects are critical interventions that help to prompt further contemplation on important social issues such as health and light pollution in a very joyful and also playful manner. And I would also like to thank all of you who shared your questions, which really helped to push the conversation further and deeper. And so I truly hope that each of you who have graciously joined us in today's conversation have also found this discussion insightful. Just before we officially close this session, I would just like to reshare that tonight's dialogue is just one of the many more upcoming programs that is part of the Culture and the Smart City project. Apart from more virtual dialogues that will be part of our Culture and Smart City Provocation series, we also have an upcoming hybrid exhibition in March 2022, which will feature a diversity of artists from Singapore and Southeast Asia, as well as the winning works from our global open call. This hybrid exhibition is entitled Tracing Latencies, where we will explore the politics of invisibility and illegibility in the future smart city. So we hope to see you there. And we invite you to keep updated on our programs either by following us on our social media channels or checking our website regularly. Importantly, on behalf of my team, Victoria, Carissa, Charlotte, Jasmine, and myself, we would also like to thank the Goethe-Institut Singapore for their generous support. And we would also like to thank you for being such a warm and engaged audience, and we hope to see you again soon in other programs of this project. So we wish you well, stay safe and joyful. Thank you.